Module 3, Slide 1. Hello and welcome back to the Learning to Get Along course. In Module 3, we'll be looking more deeply at the E in SEL. That is, at the concept of emotional awareness, what it is and how it can help people, whether they are young, old, or somewhere in the middle, think more, make better decisions, and take charge of their lives. Module 3, Slide 2. These are the words of Nelson Mandela, the South African political leader and statesman. Self-control is strength. Calmness is mastery. You have to get to a point where your mood doesn't shift based on the insignificant actions of someone else. Don't allow others to control the direction of your life. Don't allow your emotions to overpower your intelligence. Module 3, Slide 3. Objectives. Upon completion of this module, you'll be able to explain why it's important for children and young people to be aware of their emotions. Give one or more examples of how emotional awareness can enhance learning. Describe an activity that would help your students to build emotional awareness, including self-regulation skills. Module 3, Slide 4. A lesson for Mr. Monroe. The story of Mr. Monroe's lesson you're about to hear is fictional, but it's based on real incidents that take place every day in schools around the world. As you listen, think about why the students are unruly, the objective of the teaching strategy suggested by Mrs. Malcolm, and whether this kind of strategy would work at your school.
The students in Mr. Monroe's 8th grade English class are especially unruly today. He's planned his lesson carefully and is delivering a lecture on the stories of Charles Dickens. But the students seem completely bored. He's already sent 2 of the girls to the principal's office for disrupting the class, and a group of boys sitting in the back of the room are laughing and drawing lewd pictures in their exercise books. A few others are slouched at their desks, staring out the window and occasionally glancing at the clock. Feeling his blood begin to boil, Mr. Monroe walks to where the boys are sitting and rips the pages out of their books.
What is wrong with you?
He writes up detention slips for each of them. The boys do not reply, simply smirk and shift in their seats, while Mr. Monroe continues with his lecture. Exasperated, Mr. Monroe sits down with Miss Malcolm, the head teacher, in the break room.
I'm tempted to quit. These teenagers are simply out of control.
I wish I had a penny for every time the students have upset me. I'd be a millionaire. But don't make any decisions while you're angry. Come on, let's take a walk. It's a beautiful day. When you feel ready, we can talk about the problem. Now, John, tell me, what story are they reading?
Hard Times for These Times by Charles Dickens. I try to make it exciting, but they don't seem to be the least bit interested.
Here's something you could try. At the beginning of the lesson, even before they begin to read the story, try to get the students to make a personal connection to the world of Dickens and the theme of the story. For example, show them a picture of what life was like for poor children in England during Dickens' time. Just a minute. Like this one.
No way! Do you always carry that around with you?
I do. It's a reminder of the hard lesson I had to learn one day. Here, you can borrow it. Show it to the students and invite them to think of a time in their lives when it was hard for them to do something and how facing a difficult time made them feel. Then begin a discussion by asking how life might have been hard for students in 19th century England. Then you can have them read certain passages aloud. For example, the part about the factory owner trying to turn poor children into robots. They were not allowed to be creative or to have too many feelings. Later on, you could have them write more in their journals about a difficult time in their lives, how they felt, and how they managed to deal with the problem.
I don't know if that will calm them down and help them get interested in the story. But it is certainly worth a try.
Trust me, it's about giving students a chance to feel and express their own emotions. I've seen strategies like this work even with the most disruptive kids. Module 3, Slide 5. What is emotional awareness? Emotional awareness, also known as self-awareness, is defined as the ability to perceive ourselves as individuals and to think deeply about our emotions, thoughts, and actions. Being self-aware also allows us to have more clarity about our interactions with others and with the world around us. A young person with well-developed emotional awareness skills is more likely to be able to handle new situations with confidence, make better choices, and to succeed at school as well as in his or her personal life. Module 3, Slide 6. Emotional awareness is a starting point for building emotional intelligence, or EI. This set of skills enables us to handle new situations with confidence, make better choices, have more clarity about our interactions with others and the world around us, and become more resilient and open to change. At school, EI helps students develop a growth mindset, face increasingly complex challenges, reduce stress, and get along and collaborate with others. Emotional awareness has also been identified by business leaders and other employers as essential to success in the 21st century workplace. Module 3, Slide 7. What do the scientists say about emotional awareness? Scientists who study the brain and its functioning, also called neuroscientists, tell us that both emotions and rational thinking are regulated by executive functioning that is located in the brain's frontal lobe, while emotions such as fear, excitement, and anger may originate in other areas of the brain, such as the temporal lobe. As you may recall from Module 1, executive functioning, or EF, acts as a kind of central routing system, or switchboard, for receiving and sending messages to and from all parts of the brain. This is an amazingly complex task, as the brain contains around 86 billion neurons, or nerve cells, that are constantly communicating with each other through connectors called synapses. Among its other capacities, executive functioning enables us to focus attention, take in new information, plan and control impulses. Recent research based on classroom observations and scans showing brain activity have found that students learn more and better when they are emotionally engaged. That is, when they care about what and how they are learning. Module 3, Slide 8. Classroom strategies to help engage learners emotionally. Neuroscientists tend to agree that on average, the human brain is not fully developed until the age of 25, which suggests that adolescents and young adults may have unique challenges in controlling their emotions and impulses. For example, they may find it more difficult than younger children and older adults to concentrate, focus, and sustain attention in a classroom. Classroom strategies to help students face challenges such as these include working with the students to set realistic learning goals, using calming techniques such as guided meditation and breathing, linking subject matter to current issues and students' lives, considering more than just one perspective on events and issues. Strategies such as these, regularly practiced, can strengthen young people's ability to regulate their own behaviors in beneficial ways. They are also of benefit to students who have been diagnosed with certain types of learning disabilities. Although in these circumstances it is advisable for teachers to consult with special needs professionals and counselors to select appropriate strategies for anger management and self-control. Arguably, skills that help all children reduce stress, manage anger, and keep it from escalating into uncontrollable rage have become essential to the safety of schools and communities. Module 3, Slide 9. Why should we help students set realistic learning goals? For 3 very important reasons. Number 1, realistic goal setting teaches children and young people to take responsibility for their own behavior and actions. 2, it promotes a positive can-do attitude. And 3, it forms a lifelong habit that enables people to reach longer-term life and career goals. Research tells us that the great majority of people who have long-term life goals do not reach them. This is at least partially because most of us never learn to set realistic goals. Realistic goal setting can begin with young children and is critical for helping students focus and get the most out of their learning, and perhaps just as importantly, to reduce stress and enjoy engaging with the learning process. Setting realistic goals does not mean, however, that students should be discouraged from having and achieving their dreams. Repeated over time, learning to set short-term realistic goals helps students fully comprehend what they need to do to set the foundation for working toward longer-term life and career goals. Module 3, Slide 10. Goal setting in 4 easy steps. Step 1. Define a big goal, for example, for a term or a year. Step 2. Discuss the purpose of the goal. Step 3. Break down the big goal into smaller steps as the steps you need to climb up a ladder. Step 4. Brainstorm the potential obstacles. This can be done early and often as a group exercise or when working with children individually. Try to draw out what they hope to accomplish in their own words. You might begin by asking questions like these. What's something you would like to achieve this year? What's the first step you can take toward reaching your goal? What's the second, third, and so on? What might get in the way? If you feel like giving up, what will you do? How will you start again to get back up on that ladder? Module 3, Slide 11. Role models matter. Besides being facilitators of learning and caretakers of their students' personal growth and well-being, teachers, counselors, and school leaders are de facto role models for how to behave, how to solve problems, and how to approach difficult challenges. For example, math teachers can use the scaffolding technique of thinking aloud to demonstrate to students the step-by-step mental processes we must go through to solve a complex problem. Counselors have a special role and a responsibility to work closely with teachers and parents to address specific problems that individual students are experiencing. Ms. Lavelle, the guidance counselor at Cumberland High School in Jamaica, whose picture you see here, has this to say: "What motivates me is for students to be settled, everyone working towards his or her goals, and for us to have incident-free days. Conflict will happen, but because I have that passion for children, instead of punishing them, I will sit down with them and try to find out what's affecting them, so that I can guide them and affect them positively." Module 3, Slide 12. How to be a good role model. There's a strong connection between students' emotional state and their ability to learn. First, teachers need to help each other to be aware of and manage their own emotions, especially when dealing with difficult classroom situations, as we have seen in the story, A Lesson for Mr. Monroe. Second, teachers need to practice the skill of careful and engaged listening, and, when appropriate, offer guided advice. A cautionary note, however: as teachers, we cannot help solve all problems, so there is a definite need to know when to suggest counseling based on school guidelines on dealing with serious personal issues. But we can, for example, help students recognize what triggers their frustration in understanding complex concepts and encourage them not to be afraid to ask for clarification. And fourth, teachers can demonstrate an interest in issues that they know their students care about, and where possible make a connection between these issues and their subject areas. For example, young children can benefit from becoming engaged in community cleanup projects. And in science class, teachers can welcome discussions on local and global issues related to climate change. Module 3, Slide 13. Examples of SEL strategies from around the world. As you browse through these examples from such varied places as a Chinese preschool to a secondary school in Yemen, think about what they have in common. While most of the activities are designed and practiced locally, a more coordinated approach has been taken by the education authorities in Bhutan, where the Gross National Happiness Curriculum places students' emotional well-being on an equal footing with their academic achievement. Module 3, Slide 14. The takeaway. The emotional component of SEL is closely linked to the social component as well as to the ability to think rationally. Being aware of our emotions enables us to control them. The ability to regulate our emotions is also known as self-control, self-regulation, or emotional intelligence, EI. Emotional intelligence is increasingly recognized as essential to achieving academic success, as well as realizing one's full potential in the workplace. Teachers can help to build this skill set from early childhood up through adolescence by connecting lesson content to learners' lives and by acting as exemplary role models. Module 3, Slides 15, 16, and 17. Self-checkout. As in Modules 1 and 2, choose the best response to items 1 through 6. Make a note of your choices and, if possible, discuss with your colleagues. You can check your answers at the end of the presentation. Module 3, Slide 18. Think like a teacher. Reflect on the ideas and information about emotional awareness that have been covered in Module 3. Then describe a strategy you would like to try out in your class, school, or other learning environment for the specific purpose of improving students' emotional well-being. What is the objective of the strategy, and what are the first steps you would take to implement it? Module 3, Slide 19. What's next? The first 3 modules have introduced you to some of the concepts that underpin social and emotional learning. The main topic of Module 3, how to build emotional awareness or emotional intelligence, leads to the next big question. How can teachers help students to build strong social relationships? Module 4 begins with the story of how a football coach in Cambodia helps students to build more positive and inclusive social relationships at their school. See you in Module 4. Bye for now. Module 3, Self-Checkout Answers. Number 1. Which of the following best defines self-awareness? The ability to perceive ourselves as individuals and manage our emotions. Number 2. The lesson that Mr. Monroe learned was how to help students focus by engaging them emotionally. Number 3. Which of the following is not a direct benefit of building emotional intelligence? Increased incidences of bullying. Number 4. What is the role of executive functioning in helping students learn? It acts to regulate emotions. Number 5. What is the first step in helping children and young people set goals? Help to define the goal. Number 6. Which of the following is an example of scaffolding? Modeling a step-by-step approach to problem solving.